pleased are you with that bounce back after what happened against Sydney? I mean, you sort of kept them to in the 20s shooting tonight in the first half anyway. You crashed the boards. You didn't let up the lead.
Yeah. I thought that the whole week of prep, we had a very professional approach. The guys were open. We tried to, move the needle a little bit forward every day, and I thought that was the appropriate response. I think we have a really good group that's really trying to figure it out. It's a prideful group. They're communicating, they're connecting in a lot of different ways, and we're trying to get better on every possession. And I thought that defensively is where it was really important, and where we looked like we made some strides. And it wasn't perfect at times, but we had a lot of turnovers. But off the 19 turnovers, they only had 9 points off turnovers. That is a really, really important stat. And that's hard to do with that many turnovers, but a commitment to get back and still defend after the turnovers, a big, big step. And then I think the rebounding and things like that. Obviously, we had 3 bigs with double-digit rebounds. 55 rebounds in a 40-minute game is really hard to do.
I was going to mention about the points off turnovers. You did cough it up, but just the second effort, was that what it was?
Yeah, I think that, those are what we call turnaround plays. Those are huge. If you get a couple of those a game, but, to only score 9 points off 19 turnovers was really huge. I thought we had a commitment to get back and build the wall, and I think you saw bodies flying back and then trying to get on the boards. And we just never gave up, right? And I think that was really important.
And Bryce, how did you feel out there? Obviously, one of your quieter nights against Sydney, and you seem pretty determined. You don't tend to put 2 of those in a row too often over your journey.
At the end of the day, I've been playing this game for a long time, so I have short memory, whether I have a great game or a game like the one I had versus Sydney. But, I just take what the defense gives me, and, whatever happens, happens.
Mike, you spoke in the preseason about wanting to be a team that plays with pace. You haven't done that at any point this year. You did it against Cairns, but really no other time.
Yeah.
I think the 14 fast break points probably doesn't give an indication of how fast you played tonight. How impressed were you with that?
We're trying. I think we're trying, and I think we can key that off the defense. When we are flying around and we're moving and defending, and then we're still trying to figure out how to play like that, and even like at times play with pace and play with space, which seems really simple, but we are getting better at it. Guys are getting to where they need to be. We are getting more connected. It's like how we connect with Bryce is one thing, and then how you connect with DJ and Z and some of these other guys that can really score at times for us. And we're just a work in progress. I think what you've seen in this league is it's a marathon. One night Sydney looks good, and then maybe they don't look as good, and Tassie looks not as good. It's a hard league, and it's a hard playing league. You got to give credit to everybody. I think the coaching in this league's outstanding. I think guys really, really work at it, and I know the players, are prepared and organized and detailed, and everybody's trying to win. So, for us and our journey, and we're emphasizing it in practice as much as we can. We're trying to work on it as much as we can, and hopefully, as the journey goes, we get better and better.
Russ, we had Isaac in here last week. Spoke about playing the pick and roll with you and his partnership with you. What's the experience been like playing alongside Isaac Humphrey so far?
It's been great. He was probably one of the first people I thought of when I signed here, just because he's always usually played good against me when I was in Perth, so I was aware of what he can do, and historically I play well when I have a big alongside of me, so I was super excited. So hopefully we continue to gel throughout the season.
What did you make of the pace that you guys played with tonight? Because it seemed like it was on another level to what we've seen from you guys so far this season.
Yeah, I think, like Mike said, that's what we're trying to get to. Obviously, we know we have so many different weapons, and it puts us in the best position to utilize it where everybody may have spurts where they're impacting the game when we're playing faster.
Mike, you said after the last game against Sydney that you were excited to watch the film for that game. Were there any takeaways from that film session that you implemented in this game that worked well?
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of stuff, but as a coach, I can sit up there and preach about a whole bunch of things that we need to correct and teach and get better at. It's just going to have a little more, there's just more to it after a loss, right? Now, the group's been great. We had a really long film session, probably too long. I did my best version of Quinn Snyder there. But it was sort of like one of those days where I knew we couldn't do a lot on the practice floor, so I decided that we would do it with their minds, right? And there's a whole bunch of different ways that we can learn and teach, and so we just did it through video. I just think it's important for me to, at times I hate to talk so much, but we're trying to get everybody to kind of like think and talk and act Sixer, right? And, like getting everybody on the same page. And if it has to be a longer film session right now, I know like the long film sessions won't last later in the year. I'll lose them quicker, but right now, as we're kind of building and things are going, and it's just easier to do it in that moment after that one, because that was the first time that we had a little adversity. But I love where we're at. I mean, I don't think we've played great yet, and we're sitting here at 4-1. I think there's a lot of positives, and yet there's a lot of things that we can get better at, right? I mean, the boards, 19 assists on 32 made field goals, and then you could say 19 turnovers. And we know that as we go on in the journey, we've still got to get better in a lot of areas, and that's us connecting and handling the pressure and, handling the things that like Southeast do, because they are trying to disrupt everything that you're doing. And, I give us credit, a young team and the bounce back game, and we had a few days to get ready and prepare. And like I said right at the beginning, that was the appropriate response for me. That was a very professional, appropriate response. Right? We want to get better. We want to look better. We want to get better at the things that bothered us the last game. And as long as we're moving forward and, getting better that 1% every day, then hopefully by the end, we'll be where we need to be.
So a shorter film session this time?
Yeah, so shorter. There'll be no film session on this one because we got to go get on a flight and, turn our attention to the next one.
Mike, 7 years at the Entertainment Centre, Adelaide's never led by that margin at half-time. It's the biggest lead ever.
Really?
Short of your biggest home win as coach. Where does this game fit in terms of your time here in Adelaide? Is that the best home win you've been part of?
I hope the best home win has never happened yet. I think the best is to come with this group. I'm really, really just excited about the journey, as well as I was excited about practice the other day. It's a great group. Like, they're fun to be around. It's fun to coach them. Like I keep saying, it's sort of like been a dream of mine to come over here and be a head coach. And it's something I thought about for a long time. And Brett Brown called me and kind of started the ball rolling. And so, all those things kind of happened. But I've really just enjoyed the journey. I really, really like this group. I don't know where we'll be at the end yet, which is kind of fun too. To just see how this thing just sort of plays out. And then we'll know, where we need to dive into some things. And how we just kind of keep connecting. But I love them at the practice court, and I like what they're like in the locker room. And even at lunch the other day, there was 45 minutes when they were at lunch the other day before anybody broke out a cell phone. That was a miracle that they were sitting there and talking and connecting without a cell phone. Like, I haven't seen that in a while. And so that just lets me know what kind of group we have.
Bryce, last week, on Saturday night, 10 shots you restricted to. You had 8 in the first quarter. Went 6 of 8 in the first quarter. Is that you? Do you determine that? Do you decide it's not going to happen again? Is it the coach, the group? You scored inside 15 seconds. Can you tell us how that unfolded?
It was a collective effort. Obviously, I have to be aggressive. And looking back at the game from Sydney, me and Mike had spoken, and it's like, if I wait to take a quote-unquote good shot, and only those, I may never shoot the ball just because of how I'm guarded. So just trying to put more pressure on the defense, and but at the same token, you don't want to be a black hole either. So I wanted to be sure I did a good job distributing once I hit a few shots, gravitated some more attention, so we could utilize those weapons we talked about.
Yeah, we don't even know how many shot attempts this guy should take, right? He texts me about how many shot attempts and things like that, and I'm like 5,000, joking. But, we're trying to figure out those offensive roles, right? And we know that Bryce is one of the most unselfish superstars. I've compared him to a lot of guys over the years, but, I think one of the most unselfish superstars I was around was Tim Duncan. He was willing to do those things and always pass and good to great and all those things that the Spurs stood for. And Bryce is like that at times. So at times I've got to sit there and say, hey, shoot the ball, man, go get it. And his teammates know that even when he goes and gets it, that he'll end up passing it to him. So, it's a different type of team culture that we're dealing with. Just a different group this year, and we're trying to figure out, a lot of times what our characteristics look like.
You touched on good people and a good group. Isaac White came out and he looked amazingly locked in tonight, and he really pushed that pace for you. How are you seeing Isaac White and his role in this team moving forward?
Well, I think that, we're really trying. I think our starting group is really connected and played some really good moments in the plus-minus area. And now we're starting to work on that bridge group, right? And then you work on your finishing group. So that's all part of this journey, too, and those playing combinations. With Isaac tonight, it was just like we knew they were going to press, and it was like, I just need you to beat the press in a straight line and then get us organized. And we got really aggressive. There was a lot of really good possessions. There was a few that he probably would like to have back. Those deep pocket paint decisions are always tough for everybody, right? And especially in the middle third of the court. But that's what their pressure does. It gets you downhill, and sometimes, you got to be willing to make the play before you're used to making the play. But his role and his aggressiveness is key for us, as with Matt Kenyon and everybody that comes off the bench. As we sort of build that bench unit, I need him to play free and I need him to connect. And, it's interesting, like just even the reps in practice, right? How many reps the guys get when they're with Bryce? And I try to watch reps with everybody. I probably coach it a little bit too much like an NBA, like where I'm watching load management and stuff like that. But that's part of our journey. We're not going to do it overnight. And as long as, like I keep saying, we see these positive moves forward, and I thought that's what we saw tonight from the group, and that started with Isaac.
Yeah, sorry, just one more quick one. Coach said before Bryce, he wants everyone to think, talk, and act Sixer. What is that to you?
That's what we're still figuring out as it goes. But right now, I think everybody has been on the same page since we came in for preseason, and I think the biggest thing that's been a help is that we don't have any selfish guys. Everybody wants to win, and obviously there's ups and downs in every game, so it's easier for us to stay together if a guy makes a mistake, because they didn't do it from a selfish state of mind. They're doing it because they're trying to do the right thing. So it's always easier to stick together when I guess, what's in your teammate's heart, if that makes sense.
Mike, real quick one, just the last couple of questions. Keanu came into the rotation early tonight and talked about that bridge group. What do you think he can bring to the group?
Yeah, we were just looking for a little bit both sides of the ball, to be honest with you. Keanu's a young athletic guard that can get up and really pressure the ball, but then, just having another little ball handler out there versus some pressure, right? That's why we just tried to change it up a little bit. There was a few other tweaks in the rotation tonight that we are still just sort of playing with the combinations and when to put those guys together in the game. And I probably spend too much time on that stuff, or maybe not enough. It depends. But with a few of the head coaches that I had in the NBA, the rotation was huge. And, you're kind of looking at their rotation and our rotation, but I'm still trying to figure out the best playing groups, as in, is Flynn the first sub or DJ the first sub? Who comes when? When Nick comes, does Z stay longer? So there's all these pieces to the puzzle with that bridge group. And that changes, right? Whether Z's at a 5 or a 4, and if Whitey comes or Flynn stays. So yeah, that's what we were trying to do versus the pressures. Just have another ball handler out there.
What's the big challenge about going to Cairns, team with their back against the wall? They'll be missing Jack McVeigh. Is this sort of a danger game potentially?
I think that, as we talk, I think every game in this league is incredibly difficult. And Coach Ford, to me, is one of the best. I just have a ton of respect for him. And, they've been off all week. They'll be ready. They'll absolutely be ready. We've got a short turn, and, we'll turn our attention there and get focused. Probably because we just played up there and stuff. But, for us, we just focus on what we can control and hopefully, be ready to go at, what is it, a 4:30 tip up there? And that's got to be the goal.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.